Hey growers, big thanks to iCine for sending this research paper our way about seed vigor and climate change. If you like these deep dives, do us a favor and hit subscribe and like this video and share it with your friends. It really helps us grow the channel and bring you more great content. All right, so we're talking seed vigor today. Now you might be thinking climate change. I grow inside, I've got everything dialed in. But the reality is the seeds that you're planting were probably produced outside somewhere that's not so controlled. And that climate change is affecting the vigor of those seeds before you even put them in your starter cubes. So understanding seed vigor can seriously level up your grow game, no matter how perfect your indoor setup is.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. A lot of growers think seed vigor just means whether a seed sprouts or not, but it's so much more than that. Seed vigor is like the overall health and fitness of your seeds. It impacts how well they store, how quickly they germinate, how strong those seedlings are, and how well they can handle stress.
Okay, so it's not just about whether a seed is alive or dead. It's about how strong and healthy that sprout is, especially when things get tough. Kind of like training your cannabis plants for a championship ride.
That's a great analogy. Think of it this way. A seed with high vigor is like an athlete that's been training hard and eating right and getting enough sleep.
Hmm.
They're going to perform better, recover faster, and be more resilient to injuries.
Right.
On the other hand, a seed with low vigor is like an athlete that's been skipping workouts, living on junk food, and not getting enough sleep. They're more likely to struggle to get injured and underperform.
So even if my grow room is like a perfectly controlled environment, the seeds that I'm starting with might already be at a disadvantage if they weren't produced under ideal conditions.
Yeah.
That's kind of mind-blowing.
It is, isn't it? And it's something a lot of growers don't even realize. The paper mentions studies on crops like soybeans and lettuce, where high temperatures during seed development actually led to lower seed vigor. They also found that drought stress during seed filling had a negative impact on barley and soybean. So you can see how these environmental stresses can really impact the quality of the seeds that we're working with.
Wow, so even if I'm doing everything right in my grow, the starting line for my plants might be uneven depending on where those seeds came from and what they went through. This is fascinating. But
Whoa.
what's the science behind all of this? What actually controls seed vigor?
That's where things get really interesting. It all comes down to hormones. There's two key players in this game, abscisic acid, or ABA, and gibberellin, or GA.
Okay, time for a science lesson. Can you break that down for us?
You got it. Think of ABA and GA like two boxers battling for control. ABA wants to keep the seeds dormant, asleep, waiting for the right conditions. GA, on the other hand, wants to kickstart germination, get those seeds growing. The balance between these two hormones determines whether a seed stays asleep or bursts forth with life.
Okay, I'm picturing this epic boxing match going on inside each tiny seed. So what tips the scales in favor of one hormone or the other?
Environment plays a huge role. Remember those stresses we talked about, drought, heat waves, floods? Those can all mess with the hormonal balance. For example, drought and heat can cause a buildup of ABA in the seeds, making them more dormant and harder to germinate. It's like ABA gets a super strength boost from those stressful conditions.
So if a seed is exposed to a lot of stress during development, it's like ABA is winning that boxing match, making it harder for GA to get things going. Yeah, that makes sense.
Exactly. And it's not just the environment. Genetics also play a role. There's a gene called DOG1 that acts like the referee in this hormonal boxing match. It influences the balance between ABA and GA. And guess what? This gene can be affected by temperature, further impacting germination.
Whoa. So we've got this complex interaction of genetics and environment influencing seed vigor.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see how understanding this stuff can really give growers an edge. This is some serious next-level knowledge. But we're just getting started. There's so much more to uncover about seed vigor and how we can manipulate it to maximize our yields.
Welcome back, growers. We're diving deeper into the world of seed vigor. In part one, we talked about how environment and genetics can impact the health and fitness of your seeds. Now let's explore what you can do to give your cannabis seeds the best possible start.
Yeah. Give us the tool to make our grows even better. You mentioned in part one that even seeds produced in less than ideal conditions can still be successful. So let's talk strategy. What can we do to even the playing field?
Well, it all starts with choosing the right seeds. It may sound obvious, but selecting healthy, vigorous seeds from the get-go can make a world of difference.
Okay, that makes sense. But how do we know if a seed is vigorous just by looking at it? I mean, I'm not exactly a seed whisperer.
Think of it like choosing produce at the market. You're looking for the freshest, healthiest looking options. When it comes to seeds, you want them to be plump, uniform in size and color, and free from any damage or blemishes.
So avoid those sad, shriveled seeds. Got it. But even if we start with healthy seeds, what about storage? Does that affect seed vigor?
Absolutely. Proper storage is like putting your seeds in a time capsule, preserving their vigor for as long as possible. The key is to keep them cool, dark, and dry. Think of it like a seed spa, a relaxing environment where they can chill out and maintain their vigor.
So what, like a climate-controlled vault? Do I need to invest in some high-tech seed storage system?
Yeah. Don't overthink it. An airtight container stored in a cool, dark place like a basement or even the refrigerator will do the trick. You can add a desiccant pack to absorb any excess moisture, just like those little packets you find in shoe boxes.
Okay, cool. Less moisture, less chance of those seeds deciding to germinate prematurely in storage. But how long can we realistically store seeds before they start to lose their vigor?
It depends on the species, but generally speaking, properly stored seeds can remain viable for several years. However, their vigor will decline over time, so it's always best to use fresh seeds whenever possible.
Hope fresh is best, but proper storage can buy us some time. That's good to know. But let's be realistic. Even with the best storage practices, some seeds might be weaker than others. What can we do to give those less vigorous seeds a little boost?
There are a few techniques we can use to even the playing field. One simple but effective method is seed soaking. It's basically rehydrating the seeds before planting, which can help jumpstart the germination process, especially for those that might be a bit slow to get going.
Soaking seeds, I've heard of that. What's the best way to do it? Is there a special seed soaking ritual I need to know about?
Nothing too fancy. One common approach is to soak the seeds in lukewarm water for 12 to 24 hours. You can also add a few drops of hydrogen peroxide to the water, which acts as a mild disinfectant and can help prevent fungal growth. It's like giving your seeds a little spa treatment before they go to work.
Spa day for the seeds. I
Mm.
like it. Any other pre-planting tricks we should know about? I'm feeling like a seed vigor ninja ready to unleash my skills.
Well, for seeds with tough outer shells, you can try scarification.
Scarification, that sounds a bit intense. What exactly is that?
It's a technique where you gently break down the hard outer coating of the seed to allow moisture to penetrate more easily. It's like creating a little doorway for water to enter, especially important for those seeds with thick armor.
Okay, that makes sense. But how do you scarify a seed without totally destroying it?
You can use fine sandpaper to gently rub the seed coat, or even a nail file to nick it. For larger seeds, you might use a knife, but be careful not to damage the embryo inside.
So a little seed surgery. I'm adding scarification to my seed vigor toolkit. Now, I remember from part 1, we talked about those hormones, ABA and GA, that are always battling for control inside the seed. Is there anything we can do to manipulate that balance and give GA, the germination hormone, a fighting chance?
There is. One technique is called stratification.
Stratification. That sounds like something geologists do.
It's actually a process that mimics the natural conditions some seeds need to break dormancy. It involves exposing the seeds to a period of cold, moist conditions, which can help reduce ABA levels and trigger the production of GA.
Wait, so you're telling me that mimicking winter conditions can actually HELP some seeds wake up? That's wild.
Exactly. For some species, stratification is essential for germination. It's like a wake-up call that tells the seeds it's time to grow.
This is so cool. It's like we're hacking the seed's natural processes to give them a head start. I'm starting to feel like a seed scientist myself. We've covered a lot of ground here. Choosing the right seeds, proper storage soaking, scarification, and stratification. Are we missing anything? What else can we do to ensure our seeds have the best possible chance of becoming strong, healthy cannabis plants?
We've got the seeds prepped and ready to go, but we can't forget about the environment they're going into. Let's talk about setting the stage for seedling success.
All right, let's do it. What do our little seed buddies need to thrive once they sprout?
First and foremost, they need the right nutrients. Early on, seedlings need a good balance of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. These are the building blocks for healthy growth and development.
NPK. Those are like the holy trinity of plant nutrients, right?
Exactly. But remember, seedlings are delicate, so it's important to start with a diluted nutrient solution. We don't want to overwhelm their sensitive roots.
So baby steps when it comes to feeding those little guys.
Precisely. You can gradually increase the strength of the nutrient solution as the seedlings grow and develop a more robust root system.
This is all great advice, but there's one thing I'm still curious about. We've talked a lot about what we add to the soil, nutrients, water, etc. What about the soil itself? Does that play a role in seed vigor?
Absolutely. The soil microbiome, that's the community of bacteria and fungi living in the soil, is crucial for plant health. A healthy soil microbiome helps with nutrient cycling, disease suppression, and overall plant resilience.
So it's not just about what we feed our plants, but also about cultivating a thriving ecosystem in the soil. That's fascinating.
It really is. Building a healthy soil microbiome is like creating a support system for your plants, giving them access to a diverse community of microorganisms that can help them thrive.
Okay, I'm sold. How do we build this amazing soil microbiome? Is it as simple as adding some compost?
Compost is definitely a great start. It introduces a whole army of beneficial microbes to your soil. You can also use cover crops, which are plants grown specifically to improve soil health, or microbial inoculants, which are commercially available products containing specific strains of beneficial bacteria and fungi.
Wow, so many options. I'm starting to see my grow space not just as a collection of plants, but as a complex ecosystem that I need to nurture and support.
That's the perfect mindset. And remember, a healthy soil microbiome is not a one-time fix. It's an ongoing process that requires attention and care.
Well, I'm definitely up for the challenge. This whole deep dive into seed vigor has been a real eye-opener. But before we wrap things up, I have one more question. We've talked a lot about the environmental factors that affect seed meadows, especially climate change. But what about the genetic side of things? Are there specific cannabis strains that are known for their high seed vigor?
That's a great question, and unfortunately, there isn't a simple answer. Cannabis breeding, especially when it comes to seed vigor, is still a relatively new field. But with the growing legalization of cannabis and the increasing interest in sustainable cultivation practices, I think we're going to see a lot more research in this area.
That's exciting. Imagine a future where we have cannabis strains that are not only potent and flavorful, but also incredibly resilient thanks to their superior seed vigor.
I can't wait to see what the future holds for cannabis breeding. But for now, let's shift our focus to how you can apply all of this amazing information. In part 3 of our deep dive, we'll explore the practical implications of seed vigor for you, the home grower.
Stay tuned, everyone. We're about to unlock the secrets to maximizing your cannabis yields, starting with the power of seed vigor. Welcome back, growers. It's time for the grand finale of our seed vigor deep dive. In part 1, we dug into the science behind seed vigor and how it's affected by environmental factors like climate change. And then in part 2, we explored a bunch of practical techniques to give your cannabis seeds a fighting chance. Now let's bring it all home and talk about how this knowledge can translate into real results in your cannabis garden.
This is where it all comes together. We laid the groundwork, and now it's time to see how understanding seed vigor can help you cultivate healthier, more resilient, and ultimately more productive cannabis plants.
Okay, I'm ready to put this knowledge into action, but I'm also feeling a little overwhelmed. There's so much information.
Yeah.
Can you break it down for us? What are the most important takeaways for home growers?
You got it. First and foremost, remember that seed vigor is influenced by both genetics and environment. You can't control the genetics of a seed, but you can definitely control the environment that it goes into.
So even if we're working with seeds that might not have had the best start in life, we can still give them a fighting chance by creating the perfect environment for germination and those early stages of growth.
Exactly. Think about it. If a seed struggled to develop because of drought stress, you can compensate by providing ample moisture during germination and early growth. If a seed was exposed to high temperatures, you can mitigate that by making sure your seedlings have a cool and stable environment.
So it's like we can create a nurturing environment to help those seeds overcome any challenges they might have faced early on. It's almost like giving them a second chance, right?
I like that analogy. And it's not just about fixing past problems, it's also about proactively creating the best possible conditions for your seeds to thrive. That's where those techniques we discussed in part 2 come in. Seed priming, soak and scarification, stratification, these are all tools you can use to maximize seed vigor and set your seedlings up for success.
It's like having a toolbox full of tricks to optimize our cannabis cultivation. But you also mentioned the importance of a healthy soil microbiome. Can you remind us why that's so important?
Absolutely. A thriving community of beneficial microbes in the soil is like a secret weapon for cannabis growers. It helps with nutrient uptake, disease resistance, and overall plant resilience. It's like building a fortress of soil health around your cannabis plants.
Okay, that's a powerful image. So how do we build this awesome soil microbiome? We talked about compost cover crops and microbial inoculants. Is there anything else we can do?
Those are all great strategies. And the good news is that building a healthy soil microbiome is an ongoing process. You don't have to do everything at once. You can start with something as simple as adding compost to your soil and gradually incorporate other techniques over time.
I'm really starting to see the bigger picture here. It's not just about individual seeds. It's about creating a whole ecosystem that supports healthy plant growth from the ground up.
That's exactly it. And the more we understand about the interconnectedness of these factors, the better equipped we'll be to maximize our cannabis yields and cultivate truly thriving gardens.
This has been an incredible journey. I feel like I've learned so much about seed vigor and its impact on cannabis cultivation. I'm excited to put this knowledge into practice and see the results in my own growing.
I'm thrilled to hear that. Remember, observation is key. Pay close attention to your plants, especially in those early stages of development. The more you observe, the better you'll understand their needs, and the more effectively you'll be able to address any challenges that come up.
It's like being a detective in our own cannabis gardens. This whole deep dive has been a game changer. Big thanks to Iceni for inspiring this epic exploration of seed vigor. And to all of you awesome growers out there, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and share it with your friends. Your support helps us grow the channel and bring you even more awesome cannabis content.
Happy growing, everyone! May your gardens be filled with healthy, vigorous plants.